Okay, hey guys, let's do a quick review for our new chapter 13 that we're starting. And we're actually not going to be able to finish the whole chapter because there are some very difficult concepts that are just too hard to teach when I'm talking to a computer. It is much easier to teach in person where I'm helping you manipulate um, our manipulatives. So I'm going to hold off and kind of see if we end up back in school. And if we don't, then I will figure out a way to make it as helpful as possible in teaching regrouping. So here's what we're going to do though, because we're going to start working with large numbers. And so I'm just going to remind you of a few different skills that we learned. And this is those strategies that we learned, like making 10 when we were adding and subtracting within 20. But now we're going to start adding and subtracting from 20 to 40. So big numbers. Okay. So let me just remind you of this particular skill. So if you remember, when we have a problem, an addition problem, we can add easier if we make something a 10 because 10s are friendly. So in this problem, I have to figure out what do I need to pull from my 5 to add to 7 to make it 10. So 7 and what is 10? 7 and 3. So I know for sure I need to take a 3 from my 5, but I also have to know what the other part is to my 5. My other part is 3 and what makes 7? 2. Okay. So now that I've broken that up, I can easily make that a 10. Okay. So over here, my second step is to make my new equation of 10. So step 2 is 7 and 3 equals 10. So now that you have your 10, you take your 10 and you add it to your leftover ones. Remember, your leftover ones are whatever you didn't use in the number line. So right there, the 2. Right? So 10 and 2. Okay? So 10 and 2 equals 12 is the same thing as 7 and 5. Do you see how that made it easier? It's easier to make a 10 than it is to add without a 10. It just makes it, it's just a quick strategy, okay? So I took this equation, and really now my equation goes back to the original addition problem. 7 and 5, what does it equal? It equals 12, okay? So super easy. The next strategy that we learned in the beginning of the year is adding by grouping your 10s and 1s, okay? So let's look and see how to do that. I've been given 14 plus 5. 14 is a big number. It's easier to work with it by breaking it apart into 10s and 1s. So what is 14 broken into 10s and 1s? 10 and 4. Good job. So now that I've broken that apart, I'm going to actually add my 1s first. My 1s are 5 and 4. So now I have 5 and 4 equals 9. But what from this original problem have I forgotten to add in? Yes, I've forgotten to add that 10, so that's the second step. So now I'm going to go take that 10 that I broke apart and add it to my new 1s. my new ones is the number 9 because I added 5 and 4. So now, look, 9 and 10 equal 19. Much easier. So now I know that 14 and 5 equal 19. See? Do you remember those? What I'll do is I'll take a picture of it and make sure to include it in my email to your family so that you have this chart sitting in front of you while you guys are working. Does that sound good? Great. I'm pretending that you're really talking to me right now. Okay, where things got tricky though with these particular strategies was when we did subtraction. Are you ready? Okay. That was too much for your brain to have that much staring at you. So I'll just put the subtraction one up there. So with subtraction, we can do subtracting by grouping into tens and ones. So you have 16 take away 3. So you would break that into tens and ones. What is 16 into tens and ones? 10 and 6. Now, the first thing you're going to do is you're going to subtract your ones. Now, you have to be careful here. You can't do 3 take away 6, right? You have to do 6 take away 3. Okay, so now that I've taken my ones away, this is the tricky part. You're not subtracting anymore. You've gotten rid of the ones that you need to. So you're actually now going back and you're adding, okay? So what 10 were you left over with? 10. So 10 and 3 is 13. So that means that 16 take away 3 is 13. And I remember for most of you, that strategy at first was really confusing. But I think you just have to think of it like what you're trying to do is get rid of some ones. You have such small numbers here you're working with. You're working with one number that's in the tens and one number that's in the ones. And that particular, the ones, this one is not bigger than the ones that's in this number. So you can subtract really easily, okay? So that's all it's doing. So let's look at the hard one. This is the subtraction where you can't subtract the ones because then you're going to end up in negatives. So let's look and see what you do. So I'm going to break apart 13 into tens and ones. What's 13 in tens and ones? 10 and 3. Now, a lot of you are going to want to do, 8. It's hard to do things backwards. You're going to want to do 8 take away 3, but that's not correct. The order is that way. You see the arrow? Can't do 3 take away 8. So we're going to have to do something else. Instead, what are we going to take away from? Our 10s. 10 take away 2. 10 take away 8 is equal to 2. What do we have to do with that 2? We have to add it back to the ones that we had. So how many ones did we have left over? 3. So 2 and 3 is equal to 5. So that means that 13 take away 8 is equal to 5. Now remember, these are strategies. You don't necessarily have to do them. But in this chapter, you're going to have to show how you write it out, just like we did in the past. Okay? What this helps with, as confusing as it might be, it actually helps with regrouping. And if I'm remembering correctly, most of you actually ended up completely understanding these skills last semester. So I have full confidence in you. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put a workbook, a student page in the assignment, and I want you to do a student page. I don't want you to work in your math workbook for this particular lesson. All right? Good job, guys. Love you lots.